As Ryan walked out of university, she looked at the time to realize the clock ticked 9 p.m. The semester was nearing the end and the workload was insane. She sighed. She was planning to get a part-time job, but university kept her busy the whole time. She really needed to take care of her expenses. As she took out her wallet to check the money, there were only a few notes left, and she needed to spend the whole month with them. She put the wallet bag in her bag and decided to dump the bus and walk back home. It had been 15 minutes and probably 15 more minutes left to get to her home when she noticed the sound of footsteps. It didn't seem strange at first, but it started getting creepier as minutes passed by and she heard a laugh. Her curiosity and fear made her turn to find two men, probably in their 30s, following her. She saw a bottle in one of the men's hand and their walk looked a little jiggly. They were drunk. She gulped and instantly turned to her front, picking up a pace. She held the straps of her bag tightly. It was not her first time walking back home, but definitely first time getting stuck in such a situation. She felt goosebumps and sweat trickling down her back. She wondered if she shall go back to her home, which is usually a quiet area around this hour, or run for a public place. Her legs shook, mind not working, as she suddenly started to run, feeling them nearing her. She heard the yell of the man behind her as they started to run after her too. Just why in the hell she took the shortcut? Her heart screamed for someone, at least one person who could help her in this situation. She couldn't think straight as she only focused on running. "Man, you girl, stop there," he said as he threw the bottle her way, which smashed beside her foot. Vian screamed, her heart almost jumping out of her chest, paralyzing her for a moment. She stumbled, but luckily she was quick enough to hold the wall and started to run for her life again. "God, please help me. Please get me out of here. Please save me," she cried. Her legs started to hurt by all the running, and then she stumbled into someone. Regardless of the fact the man she stumbled into could be like the men following her, but it was her hope, the only light in the dark, so she held on to him. Her hands were shaking as she held his collar and stood close to him. "Ryan, please help me, please help me, please, please," she whispered, repeated, never loosening her grip. She had not even seen the face of the stranger she was holding. The man was taller than her by 7 inches. He had broad muscles and calm presence, judging by the fact he was not slightly affected by the whole situation. "Lady?" came a deep voice out of the man. Ryan held on to for her dear life. She flinched as she heard the running footsteps behind her and instantly got on her tiptoes. It was in the moment. She was ready to do anything that could get her out of this situation. The thoughts running in her head like a marathon of each possibility that could happen if those men got their hands on her. It was terrifying. As she pulled the man down by the collar and crashed her lips against his, she didn't even once think about the possibilities of getting out of one trouble and falling into an even bigger one. Her eyes screwed shut as she held onto the stranger for her dear life. Those men came to a stop looking at the couple, but it was not enough to bring that to end. "Man, hey you, come back here," he said as he wobbled forward, his finger pointing at the two while his face turned red with anger. He really thought he was going to get laid tonight. The man with deep voice held Ryan's waist and slammed her against the wall. He kissed her back with such passion and domination that even a 5-year-old could tell, if you messed with the lady, you'd be practically digging your own grave. He opened his eyes while kissing the lady. One look towards those drunk men had them running for their lives, which was, according to him, a very smart move. He smirked and yet once again closed his eyes, this time his fingers slowly caressing the waist of the lady in his arms, pinned against the wall and lips molding against hers. Where were you before? He thought. Never had such pleasure kissing someone like you before. Vine abruptly broke the kiss, turning her face to the other side. Her cheeks flushed red with embarrassment, yet the relief of escaping those men made her want to cry out in happiness. Vine, I'm sorry about this, but thank you. She finally raised her head to look at the man who held her caged between him and the wall. Dark hair and whisky eyes. A face so exquisitely chiseled, sharp eyes and intense gaze staring deep in hers. The man was tall and broad. Everything about him screamed danger, yet a calm aura devoured him, like a devil dressed as a saint. It's amusing, he said, how you considered the best idea to escape them was to kiss a stranger. The sharp line of his black suit, the calm precision of his words, the cool detachment of his gaze held against mine ran shivers down my spine. The traits of someone who worshipped logic and power. Wine, I was scared. I'm sorry. It was without your consent. Knave, he thought as he leaned down to her level. His hand stayed on the wall on either side of her fragile frame. Wine, I should go. If you could please move aside. He was handsome. As she took in his each feature, he had to be the most dangerous, yet most beautiful man she had ever came across. A part of her screamed at her to run away, yet another part wanted to kiss him again, till she was breathless. I am Jungkook, he replied, and to answer your earlier question, no, I don't want to. Wine. What? What do you mean? Please move aside. Her hands landed on his chest in an attempt to push him away. She couldn't, first, because he was too strong for that, and second, because her hands betrayed her. The warmth of his chest under the palm of her hands was too good to be pushed away. Jungkook, I don't do favors for free. If I helped you escape, I need something in return. She furrowed her brows. Wine. What? Jungkook smirked as he took her lips in his again. The taste of hers made him desire the kiss again. He was not satisfied, nor he was going to let her go till he was. Wine shut her eyes tightly, curling her hands into fists against the wall, before she slowly let go of herself and held him by his clothes. It felt like a sin, but she couldn't help the way he held her with such dominance, the way he kissed her like he owned her, or the way his clogging filled her nostrils, getting her high. Once he pulled back and looked at her, she was panting heavily, almost out of breath, eyes half closed and lips parted. He bit his lower lip, tracing his thumb against her lips. Vine's hand slowly slid down his chest, landing onto his torso, and she felt something wet against the palm of her hand. A quick look at it had her screaming out in terror. She had blood against her hand by touching his clothes. Her terror-filled eyes found his again, who stood there all calm, with a smirk on his lips. Jungkook, be careful next time, darling. I'm not always this easy. He stepped back and walked away, leaving her there all alone, drowned in her fear. 1,000 questions ran through her mind, but the worst of it was Did she just kiss a wrong person? Above all, a person who had someone's blood on him, because judging by his state, it didn't look like it belonged to him. She ran back home and promised herself not to get in such a situation ever again. Thank you so much for reading.